Okay, so I want to make an introduction to this particular video, and the reason why I'm doing it is as much to say as I only want to do this for a video log for the future. I'm not really interested in any monetization, anything like that. It's just purely for my personal reasons. However, I do realise it's going to be public, and people with similar interests are going to use the videos that I'm putting on as advice. Although, please bear in mind, I'm no expert. I'm not a boat builder, not a mechanic, not an engine mechanic, anything like that. So anything I do is purely for my own benefit. When you watch it and you think, oh, that's a good idea, then take on the idea at your own cost, so to speak. I do try and do things right 100% of the time, but obviously there's different ways and means of doing things, and my way is certainly not the best in some cases. So anyway, the reason why I'm doing this intro is because I'm going to do stringers today, and I'm going to make stringers for the boat. So my boat had no wood in it whatsoever. It's purely it's a fiberglass structured method of construction for the hull. So instead of stringers, it's basically using fiberglass hollow stringers that were filled with foam. The rule of thumb, whenever you're changing anything on a boat, especially the structure, is to try and keep it exactly the same as what it was before. So in my case, if it was empty crate design filled with foam, then ideally that's what I should be going back to. However, it's obviously been underwater, my boat. I'm sure it has, because there was a hole in the front anyway, and every single piece of the core at the bottom, all the foam was all waterlogged with stagnant water, and it must have been there for years, and the boat weighed a ton, and the heavier boats anyway. But I'm going to use wood for my stringers, but there's a couple of things that I'm going to do. One, talk about the type of wood, and where applicable you can use, because loads of advice have come from loads of people of you can use plywood, you can use 3x2, it doesn't matter what wood you use, it has to be marine ply, it has to be 18 and so on. Okay. So there are certain times when you can get away with using other wood if it's prepared and sealed properly, but there are only certain areas. Now, I had the good fortune to meet a chap called Hugh Easton. I had a Elysian 27, it was a river cruiser, 27 foot semi-displacement hull. That was great for coastal use, big engine, 2 engines in the back. And I got really interested in it, so I thought, I wonder who designed this, and actually it turned out that it was a chap from Ely Boat Builders called Hugh Easton. Unfortunately he's passed away now, but I was fortunate to meet him. He designed the hull for Ely Boat Builders, and it was the first design that was used for the fiberglass hire boats, of which were listed 27s up in Oundle. Now, talking to him, the old methods that they used to use, and I always remember it, it's an ONV method. And I've got it here, look, sorry, bit of schooling. They used to, if they didn't use wood and they wanted to stiffen the hull, for example, they would just use the basis of different shapes that were strong anyway, and then if they fiberglass around them, that would then give the strength. So for example, if you had a tube, and they used cardboard tubes, full enough, and then the fiberglass around them, so once you got the first 2 layers of fiberglass on, that would give you the shape, that would start giving you the strength, and the more layers, the stronger it became. They'd go from an N, which was similar to a U shape, so an oval shape, right to the V, so the upside down V. Now, it's interesting now that you see these people put in reams and reams of wood for stiffening, and actually sometimes in the old days never used any. The only time to use wood was in a transom, and maybe a couple of times when they were putting sort of bulkheads in. In my boat, for example, the very thing actually, the N shape, the oval, and the half round has been used. No wood, just obviously the shape, and the more fiberglass layers, the stronger it became, has been used to the extent. Whereas also you've got the vertical, the rectangle, rather, or a square box sectioned as well. So unfortunately my box sections, they're like a if you look at box section, my stringer, if I put a stringer in there, a wood one, that's where the original box section goes, and this was a fiberglass across, so this was cut out to remove all the foam. I'm going to put a stringer in, but there's a gap there basically of a V that I can't pull that in to there, so hence why it's going to be a pain in the neck to do it, so I'm just going to put wood in. I do know how stiff it needs to be. It doesn't matter if it's stiffer than it used to be, but that's what I'm going to do. However, on my stringers I'm not going to be using marine ply because I don't need it. So I'm going to be using a treated kiln dried wood, timber, similar wood that you use for decking, and they are going to be my stringers. Now bear in mind that there's 3 types of strength when you put a stringer in, okay? So that's what I'm going now, but basically you've got the strength of the wood. So let's say you get let's say you get a piece of wood, and that's your stringer. You can use the strength of the wood by simply tabbing in. So you've got a bit of fiberglass. So a bit of fiberglass tabbed in, yeah. So that's going to hold the wood in place, and that's going to basically give the strength of the wood alone, okay. But you've also got one more option, and that's to fully coat it. So bear in mind, when you fully coat something, you've not only got the strength of the wood, but you've also got the strength of the fiberglass as well. And if you took away, as they used to in the olden days, if you use a cardboard core or something, that would be the strength of the fiberglass. The more layers you put on it, the stronger the structure would become. So with these stringers, if no water can get in, let's say the wood rots, but you've put a fully coated, and you put maybe 6 layers of fiberglass on, you know, maybe it's sort of about 8-ounce cloth, for example, maybe 4 layers, 5 maybe. That would be seriously strong anyway. You know, you don't necessarily need the wood. If you treat the wood correctly for the stringers, as in seal it with epoxy, I've got some thinned epoxy filling, which is a special thing that primes it, but it soaks into the wood. Then you've still got the strength of the wood, but you've also got the strength of the fiberglass. And I'm actually going to fully cover my stringers. So when you see me doing it, you can sort of, you know, all the comments, no doubt, that I'll get, then, oh, you shouldn't be doing like this, you shouldn't be doing like that. I've spoken to boat builders, I've spoken to the guys who originally started glass fibre on the river, that they went on, the actual Listing 27 by the way, then went to the Senior 31, and that went on to the Princess 32s, which was then the Princess boats. Still using the same design, still using the same techniques, and it's good to see. So what I want to do, I'm going to be measuring out all the strings that I need. They are going to be in a kiln dried wood, and I won't be using marine ply. Another good thing about marine ply is it's dead straight if you get 18 mil, and that's another reason why you'd use it. But I'm going to actually be using a full coat of fiberglass. I might need to do a transom as well. I am going to be using 18 mil marine ply on that. I might need to do that, don't know yet. But yeah, let's see how I go. What I've done here, I want to make the outline of the stringer. So this is set, this depth here is set between top and bottom exactly. So I put the string across, I've drilled a hole in the bare wood, put a screw in just to sort of stop it moving. Hopefully, not scientific, but never mind.
gives me some resemblance of the shape of the deck, the hull rather. Let's do another one. So the reason I've done a hole, obviously that's where the runoff of the water goes, but I've made it, rather than just cut it, I've made it a, this whole thing's going to get sealed once it's shaped and it's ready. That's going to be sealed there with a bit of fiberglass strip. When that goes in, then that bottom will be sealed. This will be sealed obviously when it gets pushed in with filler, and then I'm going to tab it in, and then I'm going to cover it completely. So yeah, let's do the shaping. I'm taking the height of these as the guide. This is the stringer that I cut out, as you saw. And then what I'm going to do, this here, going back to what I said earlier about using a oval to stiffen. So with me cutting this out, there's going to be a weak point here. So when I glass these in, what I want to make sure is there is still, this is going to be filled, that's going to be filled. There's still going to be that strength in this stringer here, this hollow stringer, should we say. I'm going to do the same all the way down. Then I'm going to put probably one down here, one down here, and one in the middle. Or instead of doing that, I might just do one either side. These can't be relied upon. One, because could have left them the way they were, just filled it with foam, but you got to do it properly. And I'm going to make a crate design with this, so all that's going to be covered, good few layers. So I've got the strength in the wood and the strength in the fiberglass. It just means I want to cut each one of these now out. I mean, look, there's no strength in those anyway, so absolutely no point in fixing to them. I'm just going to take them out, leave these for now, get these measured up, get these sorted, job done. This problem as well, this just come away. Can't trust old glatting. Great. Look at that. Good thing with this one is that it's flat, so I am actually going to use this as the end of the deck, and I'm going to have a small well, I've decided. So, new look. Oh, bit of cutting sort of there, a bit of final adjustments. But I had enough for today, so all these trays taken out, stringers cut to size, a little bit of manipulation needs to go into them there. I'm going to put another couple of supports running down lengthways, probably one here, and more importantly, this crack. This was the hole. You can see some stress fractures around it, which aren't good. But oh, I bet that it lifts up. So I'm going to sand all this out and have a look at that hole. Another one's there. Look. Great. I think what is interesting about what I've done. I was doing it step by step, thinking, can I use the existing stringers or crate design? Obviously you're supposed to leave it or try and keep it as original as possible, but if I had the support structure on this, it wasn't there. I think this boat has, like I say, it's been underwater at some point, and it's flexed a lot since then, and all this lot wasn't put in properly. So decided to just try and prize them out, and they came out a lot easier than they should, put it that way. So let's do it the old-fashioned, or rather the original method, where you take everything out and start again.